I was rinsing a coffee mug when my phone buzzed on the counter. One glance at the screen told me everything I needed to know. Mom never texted me before 8 o'clock unless it was about Sienna. I wiped my hands and opened the message. Sienna's baby shower is a family priority. We can't attend your wedding. My chest tightened, but my face stayed still. Years of practice. Years of swallowing the same flavor of disappointment. A second message followed. You understand. Right. It's important we're with her. I sat down at the table, the phone cold in my hand. Lucas was still asleep in the next room, unaware that my mother had just drawn a line through the middle of my life. I typed 3 words. That's fine. Mom. I added a period. A small, final stone at the end of a very long road. Her reply came instantly. Good. We'll make it up to you when things calm down. Make it up to me. The same promise she had recycled my entire life. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. When I was 10, I missed a school play because Mom took Sienna to a dance rehearsal. When I graduated college, they left halfway through the ceremony because Sienna felt dizzy. When I landed my first real job and called to tell her, Mom said, "That's wonderful, honey," then added, "Hold on, your sister needs me." That was the rhythm of our family Sienna spoke, and the world rearranged itself. I pressed my thumb against the wood grain of the table. You did it again, I whispered, though I wasn't sure whether I meant her or myself. A notification popped up, another message, this time from Sienna. LOL, just celebrate with us when you're back. Make it a simple dinner. No need for a whole thing. A simple dinner. For my wedding. I breathed slowly, steadying myself. The version of me they believed in, the quiet one, the responsible one, the one who always stepped aside, had been dying for years. Maybe the period at the end of my text was the moment she finally stopped breathing. Behind me, floorboards creaked. Lucas's voice was thick with sleep. You're up early. Everything okay? I held up the phone. They're not coming. He blinked once, then his jaw hardened. Your wedding is not optional. It is to them, I said quietly. He sat beside me and took my hand. Then this is where we stop letting them decide the shape of your life. His voice had a calm certainty that steadied the tremor in my chest. He squeezed my fingers once, as if to anchor me. I nodded, though a part of me still felt suspended in the old ache. I just wanted them there, I said. I know, he murmured, but sometimes peace starts with letting go. For a moment, I just breathed, letting his words settle. And then, because the weight of silence felt too heavy, I added softly, if you've ever felt something like this, being the one who gets overlooked, tell me. I think stories like ours matter more when they're shared. The CTA fell into the space naturally, a quiet invitation rather than a plea. When Lucas stood to make coffee, I looked back at the phone. 3 messages from Mom, 1 from Sienna. The line had been drawn, and for the first time in my life, I didn't step over it to chase them. I let it stand. I spent the morning pretending to work, though my laptop screen stayed on the same email draft for nearly an hour. Mom's message played in my head on a loop. Every word a reminder of a truth I had learned too young. By noon, I finally shut the computer and walked to the kitchen. The quiet felt thick, like it was waiting for me to say something I had swallowed for years. When I was 8, Sienna won a regional art contest. Mom cried. Dad bought a cake. I stood beside them holding Sienna's backpack while she posed with her ribbon. Mom ruffled my hair once and said, You're our steady girl. Marin, you don't need all this. I learned early that needing something was dangerous. Needing made you inconvenient. The memories rose in sequence, sharper now than before. I was 17 the day I came home shaking with a fever. Mom tucked Sienna into bed with warm soup, then glanced back at me. You'll be fine, honey. Your sister needs me tonight. I remembered sitting on the hallway floor, hugging my knees, listening to them laugh behind the closed door. 12 years later, Nothing had changed. My phone buzzed again. A message from Dad. Short and predictable. "We hope you're not upset. It's just a busy time for your sister." I texted back. "I'm not upset." I erased the rest of what I wanted to say. It felt pointless. A moment later, my phone lit up with Sienna's name. I let it ring. On the fourth try, I answered. Her voice was bright, almost cheerful. "Maren, Mom said you might be taking it the wrong way." "I'm not taking it any way," I said. "You chose your event." "I heard you." "It's not choosing," she insisted. "My doctor said I shouldn't travel." "You get that, right? And besides, your wedding is tiny. It's basically like a brunch." I swallowed the sting. "It's still my wedding." She laughed softly, the kind of laugh that said she didn't see me at all. "You've always been so good at handling things alone. I mean, you're strong. You don't need people fussing over you." There it was, the sentence my family had used my whole life. You don't mind. You understand. "I do understand," I said, my voice steady. "More than you think." She didn't catch the shift. She never did. She just kept talking, filling the silence with her certainty that I would bend like I always had. But this time, something inside me held firm. I ended the call first. The next morning, Mom called. I answered only because I knew she would keep trying until I did. Her voice came out polished, rehearsed. "Maren, sweetheart, I hope you got some rest. We should talk about the wedding date." "There's nothing to talk about," I said. "The date is set." A pause. A breath. Then, "Honey, we already explained. Sienna's shower, I heard you the first time." She slipped into the gentle tone she used whenever she wanted me to fold. "This isn't personal. Your sister is in her 3rd trimester. The doctor said she shouldn't travel. I didn't ask her to travel." "You're being unreasonable," she said, her voice tightening. "We are trying to support Sienna. You can move a small ceremony. It's not like it's a big wedding." "It's still my wedding," I said quietly. Mom sighed, long and disappointed. "You're always so dramatic when things don't go your way." I felt something inside me shift, not snap, but settle. "I'm not the one making demands. I'm asking you to compromise for the family," she said. "Just this once. Just this once." The phrase landed with a weight she didn't hear. "You've asked me to compromise my entire life," I said. She hesitated. "That's not true. When I graduated, I said, you left halfway through for Sienna. When I was sick, you stayed with her. When I got promoted, you said you'd call back and never did." "That was years ago," she said sharply. "Why bring that up now?" "Because you're doing it again," I said. Silence stretched between us, thick, hot, undeniable. Then Sienna's voice suddenly burst in, loud and uninvited. She had apparently taken Mom's phone. "Maren, are you seriously doing this over a date?" "This is not about a date." "Oh, please," she scoffed. "You've always been jealous." That word hit me like cold water. "Jealous of what of me having the spotlight?" she said. "You've never liked it, but it's not my fault people care about my milestones more." Mom muttered something in the background, but Sienna kept going. "Honestly, Maren, it's not a competition. You're the independent one. You don't even need a big wedding." "I never asked for big," I said. "I asked for respect." Sienna scoffed again. "You're being ridiculous. We'll celebrate when you get back. Just lower your expectations." Something inside me finally stopped bending. "I already have," I said. And then I hung up. The day after that call, I sat on the couch with my laptop open, pretending to scroll through work files. Lucas placed a cup of tea beside me and sat down. "You're awfully quiet," he said. "Quiet in a way that means you're thinking too much." "I'm not thinking," I said. "I'm remembering." He nodded once, as if giving me space. That was one of the things I loved about him. He never pushed, just waited for truth to surface. I think they genuinely believe I'm fine, I said. Not because I am, because it's easier for them if I am. Lucas rested his arm along the back of the couch. They only see the version of you they're comfortable with. I closed the laptop. Do you think I should have told them more about my work? About everything you told them what they earned? He said softly. The words settled over me true, and heavier than I expected. A notification blinked on my screen. A reminder from my project folder in Kaiho Estates LLC, a folder my family didn't even know existed. My phone lit up with a call. It was my real estate agent from Kauai. I answered. Marin, hey, she said. Just confirming your final walkthrough for the house is still scheduled for next Friday. Yes, I said. I'll be there. Lucas raised an eyebrow at me, a silent question. Do you want to tell me the real part now? I took a breath. Actually, Leia, can you remind me of the final numbers again? I need to put it into the finance tracker. Of course, she said. Total project cost is $4.3 million, including the cliff stabilization work you approved early last year. Thank you, I said and hung up. Lucas looked at me fully now. I know you're not asking, but I'll say it anyway. You never have to apologize for building something for yourself. I pressed my hands together. They think I'm barely getting by in that little apartment in Portland. They think I struggle to pay rent. That apartment was a choice, he said. You wanted peace, not pity. I wanted distance. I corrected. They never asked how work was going. They never wanted to know. He tilted his head. Did you want them to? I considered it. I think I wanted them to care. But wanting something doesn't change history. He touched my knee gently. So let's focus on what you've built. You didn't just buy a house. Marin, you built a life they never bothered to imagine for you. I looked at him, the weight of his words settling into places that had been empty for years. My villa is ready, I said finally. Our villa, he corrected. I nodded. Our villa. And for the first time since Mom's text, I felt the faintest sense of direction not toward them, but toward myself. The final walkthrough came faster than I expected. By the time Lucas and I boarded the flight to Kauai, I had already silenced 3 more missed calls from Mom. I didn't bother listening to the voicemails. When we landed, Leia met us outside the terminal with a tablet in her hand and a smile that hinted she already sensed the shift in me. Ready, she asked. As ready as I'll ever be, I said. During the drive, Lucas laced his fingers through mine. I squeezed back, grateful for the quiet support. No questions, no pressure. Leia unlocked the front door and stepped aside. Everything is exactly how you requested. Clean lines, open space, nothing extra. I walked inside. The stillness felt like something I had earned. Lucas followed, stopping beside me. It feels like you. I think it does, I said. Leia went over the remaining details while I skimmed each document. Final invoices are in, materials, contractors, the cliff reinforcement, all accounted for. Total comes to $4.3 million. Once you sign here, ownership transfers fully. I signed without hesitation. When Leia left, Lucas and I stood in the kitchen, the air between us soft and steady. He leaned against the counter. You know, every time you walked away from your family's expectations, you built a piece of this place. I walked away because I was tired. I said I didn't build anything. I just escaped. No, he said, gently but firmly. You built. You chose. You created something that belongs entirely to you. I sat on a bar stool, pressing my palms together. I used to imagine showing them this, as proof that I wasn't a disappointment, proof that I was trying. And now he asked, now I don't want them here at all. He nodded as if he'd been waiting for me to say it. That sounds like peace. The word landed like a quiet truth. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Sienna. Mom says you're ignoring everyone. That's childish. Marin. I turned the screen face down on the counter. Lucas watched me. You okay? I am, I said. For the first time, I actually am. He walked toward me, touched my shoulder briefly. Then let's start planning the part that matters, the people who will actually show up. His voice held no bitterness, only certainty. I exhaled, a full breath I didn't know I had been holding. Okay, I said. Let's plan our wedding. The morning of the ceremony. I woke before sunrise. Lucas was still asleep. One arm draped across my waist like he was anchoring me to something steadier than my own thoughts. Big day, he murmured when he finally stirred. A small, big day, I said. He smiled. The best kind. We moved through the morning quietly, each of us preparing in our own rhythm. When the planner, Mara, arrived with a clipboard tucked under her arm, she looked relieved to see how calm we were. 18 guests confirmed, she said. Everyone is on their way. And don't worry, no surprises. I nodded. Good, I'm done with surprises. She gave me a knowing look, but didn't pry. That was why I liked her. As I slipped into my dress, Mara adjusted the straps and stepped back. You look like someone who finally stopped apologizing for existing. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. Maybe I have. Outside, guests were arriving, friends from work, 2 college classmates, Lucas's cousin, and a handful of people who knew both of us during the years nobody else paid attention. Not a single person from my family. When I stepped onto the terrace, Lucas's eyes found mine instantly. Something in his expression softened, like the whole world made sudden sense. He walked toward me, stopping just close enough that I could feel the warmth of him. You ready? I am, I said, and the truth of it surprised me. The officiant cleared her throat gently. Whenever you're both ready. People gathered around us in a crescent. I could feel their attention, not heavy, not demanding, just present. Present in the way my family had never been. Lucas spoke first. You learned to stand alone long before you should have, he said. And you still chose to give your heart freely. To me, that's strength. That's love. My throat tightened. When it was my turn, I looked at him fully. You saw me, I said, when it felt like no one else did. You reminded me I didn't have to earn space, I already had it. He took my hands. You have all the space you want. The officiant declared us married, and when Lucas kissed me, the cheers from our small circle rose around us warm. Real. Nothing invented. Afterward, while people drifted toward the small reception table, Lucas stayed beside me. No regrets, he asked softly. None, I said. He brushed a strand of hair from my face. Then this is the beginning, not the compensation for what you lost. His words landed somewhere deep. Not the compensation, the beginning. I held his hand, feeling the steadiness of it. The family who didn't come felt distant now, like a chapter I had already closed. This, I said quietly, is the life I choose. Lucas squeezed my hand once, and it's the one you deserve. 3 weeks after the wedding, the villa had settled into a quiet routine of morning light, soft footsteps, and the kind of stillness I used to crave without knowing why. Lucas handed me his phone one afternoon. You should post something, he said gently. Not for them. For you. I hesitated. I don't want it to look like I'm showing off. You're not. He set the phone on the table between us. You're telling the truth of your life, the part you never allowed yourself to share. I breathed in slowly. Maybe he was right. Maybe hiding had become a habit I no longer needed. I opened my camera roll. 3 photos stood out: the terrace, the pool. The moment the sun caught the edge of my dress, I chose them, added a simple caption, and pinned the location Kauai. Hawaii. No hashtags, no tags, just truth. I hit post. It took 12 minutes. My phone buzzed once. then again, then over and over. A message from Mom, one from Sienna, another from Dad. Then the calls began. Lucas glanced over. Want me to turn it off? No, I said. I want to see what they do when they realize I stopped fitting the version of me they curated. Mom's first text appeared. Marin, what is this? Where are you? Another message followed instantly. Why didn't you tell us your wedding didn't look small at all? A call came in. I declined it. Sienna texted next. So you've been hiding money now. Seriously, who paid for that place? I typed back. I did. Then deleted it without sending. I owed her nothing. More calls Dad this time. His voicemail popped up seconds later, his tone irritated, wounded. You should have told us. This looks extravagant. We're trying to understand, but you're shutting us out. I set the phone face down. My hands were steady. Lucas watched me carefully. You okay? I think so, I said. This is the first time they've ever chased me. He rested a hand on my shoulder. You're not running anymore. That night, when I finally checked the screen, it showed 46 missed calls and 12 voicemails. The last was from Mom, her voice cracking between confusion and guilt. Marin, please call me. We didn't know it was like that. We didn't know you were there. I closed the voicemail, muted the phone, and set it aside. For once, their urgency didn't move me. Silence felt like a boundary I had finally learned to hold. The next morning, sunlight hadn't even reached the terrace when the messages started again. I ignored the first few, but Mom didn't ease up. Call me. This is hurtful. Marin, we deserve an explanation. By the 10th message, I finally answered her call. Her voice came sharp and trembling. I cannot believe you would post all of that without telling us first. I stayed calm. There was nothing to tell. You bought a house in Hawaii, she snapped. A very expensive house, from the looks of it. And you had a full wedding ceremony. That is something a family should know. You didn't want to be part of it. I said. That is not fair, she said quickly. We explained why we couldn't come. You explained why Sienna's event mattered more. Mom inhaled sharply, like she was about to defend something indefensible. Your sister needed support. You know how fragile she is. She's not fragile, I said. She's prioritized. Silence. A heavy one. Then she shifted tactics. Your father is upset. He feels blindsided. I spent my whole life blindsided. I said. You just never noticed. Before she could respond. Another voice cut in Dad's. He must have taken her phone. Marin, this is childish. You're making everything dramatic. My jaw tightened. I'm responding exactly the way you raised me not to. Stop being cryptic, he snapped. We're asking you a question. Why hide all this because you never asked about my life? I said. You asked about Sienna's. You always asked about Sienna's. Dad scoffed. You're overreacting. Then, behind them, I heard Sienna's voice unfiltered, impatient. Give me the phone. A beat later, she spoke directly to me. So, this is your big moment. Punishing us because we couldn't rearrange everything for you. I didn't punish anyone. I said I got married. Oh, come on, she said. You're being dramatic again. Mom's crying. Dad's furious. You should feel bad about that. I didn't. You could have warned us about all of this, she continued. The money, the house, the whole spectacle. It wasn't a spectacle. Then what was it she demanded? A life you never cared to see. I said. Her breath hitched, just enough to register. Wow. So you're blaming us for your secrets? No, I said softly. I'm done blaming you for anything. There was a pause, confusion, irritation, disbelief tangled together. Then I added the words that landed exactly where they needed to. I'm treating you the way you treated me. No yelling, no insults, just truth. The line went silent. I hung up first. For the rest of the week, My phone stayed silent not because the messages stopped, but because I no longer opened them. Lucas didn't mention it. He just stayed close enough that I felt him there, steady and unassuming. One evening, while he chopped vegetables for dinner, he glanced over. "You're somewhere else again. I'm thinking about what comes next," I said. "What do you want to happen?" "Nothing," I answered. "For once, absolutely nothing." He nodded, accepting it without trying to fix it. That was the kind of room I had never been given growing up, space to exist without performing. Later that night, I sat at the small desk in the bedroom and pulled out a postcard I had picked up from a local shop. It showed the villa at sunset, the sky washed in oranges and purples. I turned it over and wrote slowly, letting each word land with intention. "Thank you for not coming." It made room for peace. I didn't add a name. I didn't need to. When I walked it down to the small drop box near the road, Lucas joined me without asking. He stood beside me while I slid the postcard inside. "That's it," he asked quietly. "That's it." He slid his hand into mine. "You feel lighter. Maybe I finally stopped carrying something that wasn't mine." We walked back to the house, our steps unhurried. Inside, music played softly from the speaker, and the open windows carried the faint sound of waves, steady, unbothered, like they had been washing the shore long before any of this and would continue long after. I sat on the couch and leaned back. "There's something I've learned," I said. "Not every story needs a dramatic ending. Some just need closure." Lucas smiled. "And peace." "Yes," I said. "Peace." A small pause settled between us, gentle and warm. Then I added, "If anyone out there feels what I felt being the one left out, the one overlooked, I hope they know it's okay to choose themselves. And if they want to share their own stories, I'm listening." The CTA blended into the moment like it belonged. Lucas squeezed my hand once more, and for the first time in my life, peace didn't feel like something I had to earn. It felt like something I had finally chosen.